It's 2024! It's Saturday, it's 9 o'clock. Yes, it can only mean one thing. It's time for the Monster Magic Saturday show. Let's do this!
Wake up, it's a beautiful morning. Feel the sun shining for your eyes.
Woo-hoo-hoo! Happy New Year, one and all. Thanks for joining for the first Monster Magic Saturday show of 2024. I'm going to say a big hello also to the wives and the partners sitting next to their strapping hunks of magicians as they watch the next 30 minutes. Special hello to Joanna Rolfe and Mary Cowan. Hello, I hope you have a lovely morning. And I know that your husbands have enough magic, but come on, it's fun. So what better way to kick off the weekend than me enticing them with some more goodies? Yes, and hopefully 2023 was a great year for some brilliant effects that were released. Hopefully 2024 is going to be as good. And kicking it off, I'm going to do something I've never done before. I'm going to start the show with a trick by TCC. I don't know why, but I always usually leave them towards the end. But I'm going to kick it off. And it is Dice Miracle by TCC. Yes, this is, it's three effects in one, all involving dice with the sort of ESP symbols on. They're not really ESP symbols, they're changed, so you get 6 symbols rather than the usual 5. Let me show you what you get, because that is the best bit of any TCC product. They are absolutely gorgeous, and if I can hide the instructions, look at those, hey, aren't they absolutely gorgeous? I'll get them out in a minute because it's quite hard to do, but there you go. You also get some other stuff because there are 3 routines with this. The first routine is a straightforward prediction effect. You lay out the 6 cards on the table and you give your participant a balled up piece of paper and ask them to place it on any card. And then you show that you've clearly predicted that that is the card that they would choose. The second one is an ESP matching effect, where instead of, obviously normally it would be done with 2 cards, it's done, you put down a card and the spectator puts down a dice next to it depending on which symbol they think it is, and then they all match at the end. And the third and final routine is an envelope prediction routine, where they get out 3 dice, they arrange them in any order they like, and you turn over the envelope to show that that was clearly predicted. Let me struggle to get these dice out a second. So this is one of the die, and you can see it is lovely. It's inlaid wood. I don't know what the different woods are, but it is gorgeously made. It's beautiful. They really are beautiful. They've got a lovely weight to them. And you get 7 of them. Yes, you get the hearts, the triangle, square, star, hexagon, circle, and one that is a mix. So it's more of a dice that you could roll. I'll just show you that here. So you've got all of the symbols on one dice. And you also get everything else you need for all of the other routines, all incredibly well made. You get 2 beautiful felt bags, and in this one we have some playing cards. Obviously the cards match the symbols on the die, and there are some with coloured backs, but most of them have black backs, and some are duplicates as well, and that's all necessary for the routines. And you also get some envelopes, and these are used for the 2 prediction effects, and as you can see, they are really well made. They're strong. In the effects, you're not really ever going to wear them out. And the one for the envelope prediction routine is also ready printed, so you don't have to worry about that. You get everything. You can do it straight out of the box. The tutorial is 35 minutes long and it's subtitled, but I couldn't find a spelling mistake, which is and it covers everything you need to know, especially with the envelope prediction routine. They use a transparent envelope to make it absolutely clear what's going on and how to do it. The real problem with this is that it's gorgeous. The props are absolutely lovely, well made, something to be really proud of. But I just didn't really click with any of the routines. The first prediction routine was fine, but it seemed more like it could, it was a mixture of, should really have been a parlour show with the sprawled up piece of paper, I felt, but the props aren't big enough for that. And there are obviously multiple outs involved, and whenever you're doing a multiple out, especially if you've got 6 of them, some of those multiple outs are gonna be slightly weaker than the others. They do all appear to be direct hits, to be fair, but sometimes it's a bit like watching a murder mystery and finding out that the killer happens to be the gardener's wife's dog walking buddy that was never mentioned throughout the beginning of the film. The ESP matching routine, it's all right. It's all right. It depends on how which die the participant puts down in which order to your cards as to what procedure you need to do. And sometimes there's a couple of extra procedures that for me muddle the effect a little bit and just take it away from being pure magic and divination. And the envelope prediction is pretty fiddly. What you've got to do is sort of motivated, but you're going to have to practice it to get it smooth. But it is surely the most powerful routine in the set. It's a real shame. It's the die are beautiful, the cards are well printed, it's great, the velvet bags, you get everything. There's just nothing to grab me and to make me think I'm going to perform any of the routines they're offering, which is a real shame when they've gone through so much trouble to make something look and feel so great. It is $62.99. It's Dice Miracle by TCC. And next up, we've got Real Viewer by Mandy Hartley from Penguin Magic. There was something similar that came out last year as well. This is probably a year old, but it's been out of stock for months. And it is Nostalgia by Michelle Hulot was the other trick that used one of these. It's one of those reel finders that you might remember from your childhood if you're old enough. You might remember them from the Great Exhibition of 1808 if you're old enough. And it's a way of seeing photographs. You have one of these discs. You just pop the little disc in the viewfinder like so, and you just click your way through it like that. I'm sure you know how they work, but I'm doing it because it's so much fun. The effect is quite simple. You hand the reel finder to your participant and they click through and they can stop wherever they like on whichever picture they like, and you manage to divine which picture they're looking at through telepathy or however you want to play it. It is a very simple, straightforward mentalism routine. There's nothing gimmicked here at all. So the viewfinder is completely genuine, and this disc does really have pictures of different landmarks around the world. Each picture has the name of the landmark on as well, ostensibly to make sure that your participant knows what they're looking at. If they don't recognize the Great Wall of China or the pyramids, it's written there, but that is also part of the method. So the method really has nothing to do with these, or at least a simple routine. There are two. There's an advanced handling taught as well by Nick Lecapo. The whole tutorial is by Nick Lecapo, and he also shows a couple of live performances, one as a close-up routine or parlour-ish, and one on the stage of the P3 Theatre. And like I say, the words on the pictures are part of the method, and the method isn't new. It's often used sometimes in propless mentalism. I think mentalism benefits from having great props myself to make it more just more exciting and fun and interesting, and or often sometimes book tests as well. So that will give you a clue as what's going on. What is nice about this is that once you know what the landmark is, you can move on to the picture and start describing the picture, or ask them how they feel if they were in this place, and or so on, as if the words weren't really part of it. So that section can be forgotten. So that makes it really, really nice. There's also a mnemonic sentence to help you remember what you need to for the method, and also tells you which landmarks are on here as well. So that's really good, and it's an easy sentence. It sort of vaguely makes sense, but I can remember it even now, so it goes straight into your memory. There is also something else a little sneaky, which means that you may not need to use any of those methods if you get lucky, and you can just know almost instantly what the landmark is that they're looking at. It's really nice. What I like about it is it's so completely free. It's almost like a book test, but without the book, and something a little bit more interesting and comical, which is obviously why it appeals to me. Anything like this is never really going to be the strongest, hardest hitting piece of magic that you do, but it is certainly entertaining, and it is baffling, and it is genuinely good magic, in my opinion. It's up to you whether this sort of thing fits into your show. You only get the one disc. It might have been nice if there were other options, but that would have complicated other things. It's an easy to do 5-minute mentalism effect with a little bit of whimsy and a little bit of nostalgia thrown in. It is Real Viewer by Mandy Hartley. And now it's the turn of William Eston and Attraction. This is more than just one effect. There is a gimmick in here that enables you to do lots and lots of things, but the main effect, certainly the one that's on the trailer, is a trick with the bell, where you have a card selected. It can be signed if you want, lost in the deck in the traditional manner. The deck is then split into 3 piles, and you show that you've got this beautiful brass bell, and you hold it over one pile and the bell will ring. You shake it over the next pile and the bell will ring. You hold it over the 3rd pile and the bell no longer rings, and you turn over the top card of that pile, and lo and behold, it is their selection. It's a nice trick. That one is a nice trick. I don't like it because I feel the bell should ring when it's found the card rather than when it hasn't found the card. Possibly that doesn't make sense with the bell, I don't know. And also, the card being the top of a pile makes me feel that you may well have controlled it anyway, and that you knew where it was. They do teach another routine with the bell where it's more granular, and you deal the cards and they say whether or not they see their card, and you get to deal all of the cards separately and hold the bell over it. And that to me makes a lot more sense and is a much, much better routine. And it sort of reminds me a little bit of Mike Close's Frog Prince from his Worker series. If you don't know that trick, you check it out. It's a great trick where a little card frog ostensibly actually turns into the selection, but it sort of finds the selection. The props you get in here, well, let's deal with the bell first. The bell comes in 2 separate parts, so the clanger's not put into the bell to start off with. You put that in yourself, and you have to sort of adjust it a little bit to make sure it's in the right place. But it's very easy. You just screw it in. And it does make a nice noise. That is a beautiful bell noise. And it's nice, it's heavy, and it does the job. But like I say, that's only for 2 routines that they give you. But the other thing you get in the box is the gimmicked deck. And Attraction is not necessarily the name of the trick, but it's sort of the name of the method. It is a very versatile gimmicked deck. It can vaguely be handled by the spectators. There are various routines of talk where the spectator cuts to his own card, and the cards can be shuffled by the spectator without them really noticing anything. So it sort of controls the cards for you in many of the routines. And the routines, they do go through quite a lot. There's a levitation, a little mini levitation bit at the end, which I don't particularly like. It's more of a bonus routine. There's a little bit of a rising card, but you have to give the deck a bit of a shake. It's quite nice. There's a routine where you just flick the deck and it separates at their card, very similar to a routine called I think it's called Salt or Saltless, as well, by Harry Lorraine. I don't know, it's by Harry Lorraine, it's in one of Harry Lorraine's books. And then there's the card in bag routine, which you can do with a couple of selections, where 2 selections are picked, the deck's shuffled, thrown into the bag, and you find them. For me, that is probably the best routine. You're still going to need some basic card controls enabled to do it. They are taught in a quite rudimentary fashion. As long as you can follow what the guy's doing on the video, you'll be all right. The video is over an hour long, so it is quite thorough. It teaches everything you need to know, teaches you all of these routines. This is another one that I've got a slight problem with, in the fact that I think all of the routines you could do with either no gimmicks or of a less gimmicked version, which would just be a bit easier, a bit cheaper, a bit easier. And the tricks with the bell, although I do like the sound of the bell, I'm not sure that they are good enough to really warrant buying it. But it is something different. It does alter the card trick a little bit and makes it more interesting. It's always a bit of fun having a strange object to play with. It's certainly versatile. You might come up with better or more different routines with it, and perhaps use it on routines that you do currently. I'm just not sure it does anything that, you know, reading book 1 or book 2 of Card College wouldn't teach you. And that's possibly, for me, as magic as a hobby, is a much more fun way of going about things, which basically means the question is whether or not you want the routine with the bell enough. It is Attraction. It is by William Eston, and it is $61.99. And now Spooky Nyman is back with Discovery. Yes, it's a mentalism routine, which I'm sure you would expect with anyone with the surname Nyman. It's a close-up mentalism routine, ideal for walk around, and it involves poker chips, which we all know are a great hook. Gambling is a wonderful presentation idea, and the chips you get are absolutely gorgeous. They are real clay chips, nice weight to them. They feel like genuine casino chips. They're not the sort of toy chips that you might get in a very cheap card set that you might play with your kids if you're teaching your kids to gamble. The routine is very simple. It is a very clear-cut piece of mentalism. You show your participants the 6 chips, you lay them out on the table, and you ask them to just think of one of the numbers. You then pick them up, you give them a shuffle, and you stare into their eyes, you read their mind, and you put 1 chip in your pocket. You then ask them which chip they've selected, and you then lay down all of the other chips, showing that their chip is now missing, and you then remove it from your pocket. It is a really nice hook. It's really straightforward, and it is strong, and it is powerful, and you can have a lot of fun playing with the spectator, reading their minds. And again, you've got nice interesting objects to create a little bit of interest. You don't just get the chips, you do get something else that goes into your pocket to help you, and I didn't really like that bit. I couldn't get on with it. For me, it was made I don't know, I just wasn't comfortable with it. For me, it was much easier if I dispensed with it. I didn't need it. There was no talking going on in my pocket despite not having it, and it made the routine much quicker and smoother. The chips aren't examinable. Well, there is a chance that 1 might be, which is a shame, because there could have been a chance that 2 could have been. So because the spectator can't actually handle them, what Spooky teaches really well is just to be nonchalant with them, be relaxed, and don't handle them in any real fussy way. Don't really draw any attention to them too much. I mean, and for me personally, having props inspected, that's, you're almost asking people to try and figure it out. You're sort of encouraging them that it might be a puzzle, and that's not. This is just a piece of straight fun mind reading, and hopefully if you go down the gambling presentation route or whatever hook you want to give it, they're just going to be drawn in and having fun. And then when you have got that the correct chip from your pocket, it really is a genuinely strong moment of magic. So just be free and easy with them, and certainly when you're shuffling them and so on, and when you're deciding which one you're going to put in your pocket, that's absolutely fine to be slightly cagey here, because you don't want them to see which one's going into your pocket anyway. So it's all motivated. Preston goes behind his back to shuffle them. I don't particularly like that. It really doesn't take up much pocket space at all. It's a lovely thing to carry around. Like I say, the chips are terrific, and it sort of reminds me of a witch hand routine. But obviously, those hand routines, some of the methods are very expensive, and also they never seem to end. With this, it's a nice, clear ending, and of course it is repeatable to anyone else at the table should you want to do that. They do have a completely free choice. I didn't know the method before. I'm guessing Spooky's come up with it. He hints that he was doing it during lockdown, and it does lend itself, as Preston says at the end of the tutorial, to other objects should you wish. So you could take this method and gimmick other things. I certainly thought that in America all your dollar bills are the same size, so you could possibly gimmick them in a way. I think I would have liked it if it had money numbers, the traditional chips, in which I suppose it's like 5, 10, 25, 50 or whatever, just to give it more of a gambling hook if you wanted to go down that route. I do like the routine. I love how concise it is. Although the method's simple, it's really clever. And what Spooky's come up with is basically a terrific walk around, easy to do, great plot piece of mentalism. It is Discovery by Spooky Nyman. And last up, it's Double Colour Prediction by Sorcerer Magic. This took me by surprise. I'll be honest with you, I saw the trailer for it and I had to get it in because I wanted to know how it was done. There's just something about the effect, how simple and straight and rudimentary everything seems to be, and yet it's a direct hit every time. The plot is that you give someone a small metal sheet with 3 holes in it. Each hole has a different colour spot above it, and you give them 2 bolts. They screw a bolt through 2 holes, any choice that they like. You then show that you've got a big disc that's been on display in a prediction envelope all along that matches exactly where they put their bolts. Let me show you what you get, because that's part of the charm for this. So it's a completely free choice what the participant does. He can put the bolts anywhere they like, and they do generally screw them in. They're not moved, and it's a really nice way of firming up someone's decision. That sort of bolt going through it's really, really nice. This is the big board. You don't get the envelope that you need to put this in, so it does need to go into an envelope at the start, obviously, because obviously they'd see where the bolts were. So you don't get the envelope, but what you do get is the question mark sticker to put on the envelope, which is a nice touch. You know, you could have just drawn it with a Sharpie, but they've given you a sticker, so that's really thoughtful. You get the small metal disc as well, and you get the bolts for the big disc. The tutorial is completely silent, and it's only 3 minutes long. So the trick is that simple. And in fact, some of those 3 minutes is spent teaching you how to put this sticker on the envelope. So the method is devious. It's really, really simple, but the effect is so strong. I found it staggering. I really, really do. I could probably know. I really do like it. And the way the props are, they're so what's the word? Sort of rough and ready, industrial, rudimentary. That there's no possible sort of gimmicking going on. It really adds to the charm. The fact that this isn't, highly polished, flashy. There's no frame. It's very clear that it's just a plain sheet of, steel. And this is obviously genuine, and these are the bolts. And what is also really nice is once you've pulled out the prediction and you've got the bolts, you then unscrew the bolts and put them on the table to show that they are whole bolts. It really does disguise the method really, really well. and I think the props are ideal in, I want to say, in their in their nastiness. I mean, in their plain way, they are just brilliant. It is a really, really simple trick, but it packs a punch. It's great for parlour. It'll be great for stage. If you hand this out, people can still see where the bolts are. And also there's a nice little bit of play as they screw the bolts on and fix in their choice. It is absolutely terrific. The only downside is that you've got to make the prediction envelope, and in the 3 minutes tutorial they didn't teach you how to do that, but I'm pretty certain when you see the envelope he's using, you'll suss out how to do it, or whether or not you can actually buy one. And although the props are kind of rough and ready, I still think, because of how strong the effect is, it's an absolute steal at $43.99. I really like it. It's Double Colour Prediction by Sorcerer Magic. And that's it for the first show of 2024. I hope you made some New Year's resolutions. I hope you stuck with them so far. But let's face it, it's the weekend now, so you can bend the rules. And what better way to bend the rules than to grab some nice new magic and go out and have some fun with the best hobby in the world. Bye-bye.